Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. My name is Ash, here for the Triple S League, and I'm here as always with Cyb City. And how are you today, sir?
Hello, I'm good. It's a light news week. It really is. There's not a whole lot going on aside from the fact that there's supposedly a big merger in the soon-to-come future.
Supposedly rumored, so we're going to talk about that. A couple other things we're going to talk about today as well. But if you have any topics you'd like to discuss, just let us know in chat, and we will talk about those with you. Let us know your opinion on anything. Also, just drop those in the chat. We read through the chats in the live chat at the end of each broadcast. While we read through them while we're going, but we definitely go through and read some of your chats as we go through and broadcast. So, big rumors coming out right now about Microsoft possibly buying EA and also possibly Valve. Where did this come from?
Well, Dylan in the chat says, no way in hell would they touch Valve. That's very true. I think it goes the other way more so. I think there's no way in hell Valve would let Microsoft touch them. It's just when Valve originally came out with the idea of doing Steam and doing games as a digital service kind of thing, Microsoft laughed at them. They laughed at them. They said, there's no way this will ever work. We're already pushing more of our focus onto the Xbox title. There's no way that we're going to support this. Blah, 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 blah. I've heard rumors over the years of the way that their pitch went down to them to get support from Microsoft, because it really was about saying, hey, look, almost all of our clients are going to be using Windows as their platform to play games, and you should support us in some way. And Microsoft basically laughed them out of the studio. Of course, they were the same people who later on brought you the Xbox One and, trying to make it so that, it was an entertainment device at home and focused more on movies and streaming than it did on video games. And look at where that got them. So, yeah, there's no way there's no way. The other point too is Valve is a really rich company. Like, they are making fistfuls of money every single day. Gabe is literally set for life, and that would include like going off to do some pretty crazy pricey hobbies every single day. Like, they're worth a lot of money. And even though Microsoft has this 150 million war chest of money for expansion that they've collected, it's quite substantial. It's a lot of money. I still don't think that's enough. Even if they were to offer the whole thing to Valve, I don't think Valve would take it on just on the basis of like they don't want to lose control over what they're doing, and they are in control. They don't have to answer to anybody. So there's not a whole lot when you're super financially free like that, and you get an offer from a company that's been known to do some aggressive and or stupid decisions in business. Why on earth would you even want to consider like tying yourself to them when you're free already? Like, it's right. Just and you have literally a mountain full of money, and it's like, well, you could get more than one mountain. That's always a thing, but it's like no. At this point, Gabe's not stupid. He's pretty smart as far as most things go. So there's no way he's gonna fall for that. So absolutely. However, EA, that's a different story.
I was going to say, let's talk about a company that is a little more prone to stupid decisions. So Microsoft is eyeing them up.
Yes, yeah. Microsoft,
for some reason, it's like, oh, look at that smudge over there. I want to buy that.
Well, EA is a huge company, right? They make tons of different games, and they have a lot of good studios under their belt. And Microsoft desperately needs some exclusives. And most gaming companies, we've seen this with CDPR, we've seen this with a bunch of other titles. There's very few titles that are willing to say, no, we're going to limit ourselves to a single platform. There's more and more pressure is doing not. and Sony has to pay a lot of money, an enormous amount of money, to keep platforms on Sony PlayStation only. I was reading an article today about oh bloody hell, what's oh goodness, a very popular game that just came out last year, was up for Game of the Year. Persona 5, thank you. So Persona 5 was there, and they had to offer a lot of money to them to make sure that they didn't go onto the PC, because they really wanted to go onto the PC. They looked at it and said, look, I think we can double our profits by going to PC. And Sony had to say, look, we'll pay for a significant portion of you to stay off of the PC. And they're still looking at that. And even today, they sent out some stuff where they were asking their community, look, I want to go to PC in the next version. Would you support some previous versions coming out onto the PC? And so stuff like that is more and more studios are saying, look, you don't have the reach that you used to. There's more people who play on PC than play on the other two consoles combined. And there's a lot of times that people have both a PC and, you know, one of the other consoles. It's a market that we don't want to miss out on if we don't have to. So absolutely, that's the brillianceness of I think I made up that word.
Brillianceness
of the studios that are saying, look, no, we want to be on more things, because as they've seen with Xbox, if you screw up the platform, that can have some serious ramifications on the games that are coming out for that platform. And studios don't want to rely, and PlayStation has made some pretty big mistakes in the last couple of months. So yeah, it's problematic. I know that's a terrible word.
But the timing of this is interesting. Is this like a buy when the stock value is low kind of thing? Like
no,
like not stock value specifically, but like EA's reputation is in the toilet. Is it kind of a thing where they might get a better price for?
No, EA is so big that they lost, $3 billion and they didn't even care. Like they said, yeah, you think this is going to stop us from making more microtransactions in the future? You'll be back. You'll be back, just like that, bad drug dealer on the corner. Like, you'll be back. You'll be back.
Okay, so
I don't know where I pulled that example from. I think in GTA 5. Yeah. But it's that general concept of like EA, they don't necessarily care about their reputation. I mean, the fact that they're so quick to can studios, and they just don't care, because they know that the public will be there. Now, why they're entertaining, or why I think they will entertain this thought, is because it will do one thing, and it'll drive up profits for the shareholders. All the shareholders will make a lot of money, and again, that's all the current heads at EA care about, is making as much money as they possibly can.
Right.
They're not about, Gabe at Steam. He wants to control his own empire. He wants to build his own thing. There's nobody at EA who gives a crap about building an empire, or they give a crap about building a profit line at the end of the day. That's all they care about, because they're so quick to can studios that don't show, that stumble or slow down just to get their assets, then to hold on to their assets and hold on to their IPs and release them at a future date. Like, it's all about a cornering the market. It's standard. They're running their companies like Richmond in the 1920s were running and cornering the market on trains and railways. It's the exact same process. Buy up as many of the little guys as you can, shut them down when they don't make money, force people to use your more expensive oversaturated, or to cut down on the oversaturation of the market, force them into, using your one thing, and then, keep driving up the price until, the automobile came around and kind of kicked them in the pants. That was their goal and their plan, because they saw themselves as being too big to fail. So in this case, Microsoft saying, hey, you want money? We'll give you this huge profit line. There's a lot of people, like any of the heads of the company right now, who sign on for this deal will get a massive cut, a massive amount of money. They'll get a golden parachute. and then they'll be able to say that we made one of the best business decisions of our lives, and then they can go off to do, play golf and do blow. It's just that. So, that's their dream world, and if that's their dream world, then this gives them the perfect opportunity to do it.
Okay, so what could this mean for EA games going forward? If, say, this goes through, say Microsoft buys EA, could this be a good thing?
Oh, yes. If Microsoft buys EA and they do the following, they will not only get exactly what they want and exactly what they need, and what they want and what they need is they need a whole bunch of games to come out for the next Xbox. They need to announce their next Xbox. They need to announce a list of amazing games that are only on the Xbox and also on Windows 10. And they need to say these are not going to be out for the PC, or sorry, for the PlayStation. And for some of them, Xbox exclusive. And then what they'll say, and then what they'll do is they'll step back from that and they'll look at EA's previous membership, and they'll can them, and they'll can them rather publicly. And they'll say these guys, incorporated microtransactions and all this garbage, and and we're done with that. We're not going to support this, and they're going to make a public display of getting rid of certain people who were responsible for really bad game design. And this will make Disney happy, because Disney will go, okay, cool, yeah, we're purging the bad reputation, so that way our next movie will do even better. They made a lot of money off this last movie. They did not make as much as they thought they were going to make in the international markets. It's shut down in China, and so Disney is got a little bit. They didn't get a bloody nose, but they're nursing a hit, and they're going, okay, well, this is not good, because if this is a trend, the next movie is going to bomb, like totally bomb. If the next movie bombs like totally, then that's not good. That's really not good. The optics are going to be bad. The reaction is going to be worse. And if there's no good gaming content to keep the next generation interested in the series, then that's really bad. So Disney would be happy. Disney is one of the major proponents to EA right now, as far as them being a studio that's worthy of being bought by a big company like Microsoft. So Microsoft will probably be very tempted to buy into it, and if they do, then that's good. So Microsoft gets a huge studio. They start pumping out all these amazing new exclusives for the next Xbox. They get the ability to say, hey, we're different. We're not going to, rake you over the coals, which they still probably will do. But the fact that you're playing it on an Xbox, the fact that you're playing it on a Windows 10 PC, those are all good things that make their bottom line go up. So they don't necessarily need to rely more on microtransactions as much as, say, EA does, because EA does not have a platform that they own. Right? They don't have they don't have a console that they own that they sell, whereas Microsoft would, and so then that covers the cost of a lot of their stuff.
Well, I'd be very surprised if Microsoft hadn't been following the reaction to EA's business decisions regarding the microtransactions and all of these things. I'd be very surprised, and if I were them, I'd be very hesitant to even go down that road. Yeah,
but they can separate themselves from the issue. They can rebrand, relaunch it. They can do...
Well, that's what I mean. If they buy EA and then they just do the same old thing that EA's been doing, then that's just, not learning from the mistakes of others that were very public.
Think of the branding. So you got EA and Microsoft. So Microsoft and then EA. So it could be Mia. That could be the new thing. It's Mia Games, or Mias for Microsoft EA Studios.
I don't think so.
That's not going to work.
I highly doubt that.
Really?
A couple of comments about this in the chat. So, could Microsoft buy EA and make cross-platform titles only for Xbox in a way to monopolize brands? That's from David. Not 100% sure what you mean. Do you mean Xbox and PC? cross platform, because that's already
Yes.
happening. A lot of Xbox exclusives are also coming up for PC, and they're doing a lot.
But it's different if you have, like, the only crossplay between, say, the Battlefront 2 would have been really different if it was on Xbox and PC only and had no microtransactions from the beginning. That's a very different story. That's a very different experience, and that's something that would have moved a lot more titles for, if Microsoft had bought out EA 2 years ago. EA or the new EA under Microsoft, they would have made a killing off of that. And that's what I think they're looking at. That's what I think their analysts are telling them is if you buy one of these big studios, they want Valve. Valve's not going to do it, but they want Valve, because if they did Valve, then they could port all of the Valve games onto their Xbox, and they could say the entire Valve library of video games is available on our Xbox, and they could make that, and that would be huge. That would be groundbreaking for an announcement saying that they're giving every single game that's on Steam over to the Xbox, and that's that's huge. That's absolutely huge, and it would do good in the sense of them getting a lot of attention. But whether or not that's a good move that the users of Steam would like, I doubt it. So that's why I really don't think that Steam is not going to sell themselves. Valve is not going to sell themselves to Microsoft.
I'm okay with Steam staying separate. I like having some decentralization of the control. But with EA, like, if they could polish that turd and turn it into something a little more appealing and profitable, that would be fantastic.
Riku Light in the comments has hit this on the head. He's saying Microsoft could revive all those things that EA got rid of, and you're absolutely 100% right. And because they own the platform for both the Xbox and also the operating system for most Windows games, they could launch a lot of those titles that were not, super moneymakers. There's a lot of brands that EA shut down because they only made $100 million instead of $150 million. There was a lot of reasons why they shut those games down. That was one of the main reasons why they shut down Visceral, is because Visceral had made the last Dead Space game, and then the game that they were working on for this Star Wars world, is that they were close enough to making a good amount of money, but it wasn't the amount of money that EA wanted. EA wanted them to bring in a game that made them billions of dollars, not a game that made them only $500 million. And there are companies and there are people out there who are like, oh, if it doesn't make $500 million, then there's no point in investing in it. That's their thought. That's their train of mind. Because especially if they can control and shut down the market and corner the market like those rail barons did, in the past, then if they're able to do that, then their rate of gain in their mindset is going through the roof. But what they don't understand is that it doesn't always work like that.
Right. Fair enough. But and what I don't understand about that is, if you can make $500 million from your game, even if it's below projections, why wouldn't you do that and recoup some of your costs? I mean,
and this is, yeah, absolutely. And this is a really good point. Darth Ravers, you've hit the nail on the head again here. If Microsoft were to buy EA, they could organize a relaunch, like a complete redo of the whole Mass Effect series. They could do, which has been talked about before. A lot of the creators are behind a concept of porting all the games over. They had some pretty mildly good success, and there's some thoughts of like, okay, we could redo or relaunch, maybe with the original storyline or maybe with a new storyline, but they could relaunch that Mass Effect universe. And if they did it right and they put tons of money into it and they just made it perfect, like just perfect, they know that they would have a game that moves an enormous amount of product. And as long as it sells, it doesn't have to, if they bundle it with the Xbox on launch, the new Xbox on launch, if they do that, and if they do that well, you're talking about the difference of them selling, being on the top of the console war or being, third place again. and they don't want to be third place again. And so if they don't make money from the development and the cost and all that stuff, and plus they throw it in as the free bundle for a game, that's worth it to them. That's not worth it to EA. That's why EA shut it down. That's why EA put it on ice and said, we'll come back to it later, because it's not profitable for them at this particular moment. So this is we're still looking at like 2 years away probably, because there's a good chance that the newest console is going to be from PlayStation. They did the PlayStation Pro, but they didn't hype it and launch it as good as Microsoft relaunched their Scorpio. So if the numbers hold out, what I think we'll see is PlayStation come out with their next one, and then Xbox will follow with something that blows that one out of the water. That's what they're hoping for. That's what they're going for. That's why they're looking to buy these new studios. So does that include a Mass Effect reboot? Probably could. Does that in fact include a Dead Space reboot? There's a really good strong probability of that. But this is something that they're playing the long game for, and they got to start organizing this stuff now so that they can do this in 2 to 3 years.
I wonder if we'll ever see Star Wars 1313.
No, we won't. Star Wars 13 and 1313, and then also the like this new Visceral project too. Like, these are 2 Star Wars games that have been absolutely canned, and from what I hear, they canned it in a way that nobody was able to make a bootleg copy. Like, for example, Interplay was working on a Fallout 3 before the actual Bethesda Fallout 3 came out. They were working on this Fallout 3 game called Fallout Van Buren. Now, when studio was getting shut down, a couple of the employees took what they had made, copied it out, and carried a copy out with them, and then put it online for free. So you can play Fallout Van Buren or Fallout, the original Fallout 3. You can play that right now. You can find it, you can torrent it, you can play it, and it's pretty cool. You cannot do that with 1313 or this new Visceral game that they were working on, because of the way that they shut it down. They basically, they clipped the internet and then gathered everybody into a room and said, "You're all fired." And so
right,
nobody was able to copy anything. Employee was searched on the way out. It was, dog and pony shows. Seriously.
Yeah. But did they shred the data discs, or that game still exists somewhere in a vault, right?
It exists in a vault somewhere.
And if Microsoft buys EA, which presumably has the assets from, it was Visceral that was making 1313, wasn't it?
No, the 1313. The Boba Fett was the Boba Fett game that was due to come out when Disney bought.
And I know Disney canned it, but
and then the Visceral one was a new game. It was not the 1313 game. It was a new game, but it was still it was Bounty Hunter
right.
games.
Oh yeah. Visceral was working on
over well.
Visceral was working on the on that open world Star Wars game. I recall now. But I'm just thinking, that game's almost done. I wonder if they reskinned it, took out all the Star Wars stuff, if that could be. The
Visceral
I don't know.
stuff,
I'm totally...
The Visceral stuff, they've moved a lot of that stuff over to this new studio in Vancouver that's working on it. I don't know what the current state of it is, but you're right. It is in a vault somewhere, but it's in a this is Disney we're talking about. They throw stuff into vaults and then they close the vault for 20 years.
Yeah, well...
And they do that regularly. It's insane. First of all, why would you even do that? What's the benefit to closing out access to your product? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Well, it creates more demand.
Does it though? In video games and in media, does it actually?
Well, in video games, because, I don't know how well it would work with video games, but with movies, they bring out their Disney classics. They bring them back. They make a special edition that's only available for a limited time, and they keep doing this. So I imagine this makes them a crap ton of money.
But does it actually make them a ton of money? Because at the same time, it's if somebody doesn't have access to it, then they can't see that work of art. There's lots of Disney fans out there who haven't seen certain Disney movies because they've been kept in a vault.
Yes.
So,
and
as
soon as the vault opens and they're like, hey, guess what? The Lion King 7.5 is available now for, the next 3 weeks. The special edition with behind the scenes thing and, footage and 3 additional songs.
That's true.
That's what they do, right? They come up with a super, enhanced, a special edition. The Beauty and the Beast came out, and they did that with Beauty and the Beast, and they added this frankly terrible new song in. I'm not talking about the live action one. Like, I'm talking about a special edition of the animated one.
Yeah.
And so they do stuff like this all the time.
And they don't think kids can tell the difference between the voice works. Like, seriously, it's
well,
mind-boggling to me.
I think largely kids can't. I know when I was a kid, I wouldn't have been able to tell.
Yeah.
Didn't have that discriminating ear, but anyway. Darth Raver says, there's no demand if you can't buy the game in the first place. Yeah, that's right. But could you imagine if a bootleg copy of 1313 did get out, people would snap that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, true. What Darth Raver's asking, if Microsoft buys Valve, what would happen to Steam? They would definitely relaunch it. It would still be pretty much the same system, the same core programming and all that. They'd give it a new skin, they'd give it a new look, they'd slap on the Microsoft name everywhere on that thing as much as possible, most likely, and then they tie in the ability to stream Xbox stuff and a handful of other things. Yeah. That's probably the biggest thing that would happen. But again, that's so unlikely to happen because Valve is worth probably more than $100 billion. And Microsoft has enough money to buy one of them. I really don't think they have. I think whoever's saying that they're going to buy both, I think that's a pipe dream. I think what they're doing is to try and get a better deal at EA. They're saying, oh well, we're after a big studio, we're after a big group of developers. Right now we're talking to Valve and we're talking to you, so we don't actually need you. We need one of you. Who do you want to sell to? So that makes EA want to buy them more. So the EA is saying, no, buy us. Don't buy Valve. Screw Valve. It's like when you go, to a used car lot and the guy's like, oh, well, I got this other guy looking at this car too, but do you want to take the offer or not? It's kind of that exact same thing where it's
bargaining shit
they're creating this illusion.
Tactic,
it's the illusion of creating a negotiating tactic in order to get a heads up on it. That's basically all they're doing here, and it's not really working.
David says maybe Microsoft has a super secret dance pad for the Xbox Scorpio, and they want to release with the new Star Wars Dance Dance Mania game.
Oh yeah, that's just brilliant. Oh, that game was so terrible. Hey, we're not allowing you customization for the lore. The lore of Han Solo dancing with 2 Imperial officers in a cantina.
Yeah.
Doing the Macarena. Oh, go stuff yourself.
Yep. That was embarrassing. Highly embarrassing. And let's see here. There was a comment I wanted to read. Where'd it go? Notional says what we're all feeling. I don't care about EA games anymore. I just want Cyberpunk 2077. I think we're all kind of there, but hopefully if this does go through, hopefully it could remake EA into a better company, and that would be the ideal outcome.
So I was looking at some stuff for Cyberpunk 2077. We're redoing our whole draft on all of the data that we have for it. I'm going over it with a fine-tooth comb. I think I found something interesting to note, so we will have another video, or the next podcast will maybe be about that. So stay tuned for that. But in good news on the Cyberpunk kind of train of thought here, Monster Hunter Worlds has launched just recently, and the the player world, the player hub world, has been fairly well received, and people enjoy hanging out, seeing other people, and having that social interaction. And this is not the first game. Bungie threw this in the latest Destiny 2, and they did a much updated version of this in Warframe. So overall, this reception to games that they're not billed as MMOs, right? They're not billed as an MMO, but they have this social hub component, and we reported on that late about mid cycle last year. Is that this desire for a social hub is going off without too much negativity, and people are really enjoying this. So I think from what we can gather from that, I think we are seriously looking forward to having new and additional forms of social hubs in future games, and I think this is what Cyberpunk was headed and aiming for. So this is really good news that in the latest bout of games here, the social hubs have been very widely and happily received. People enjoy it. People like hanging out. They like to have that some slight social interaction. So yeah, it's a cool thing, and this definitely is looking more and more like this is going to be a good, strong focus going forward here.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the social hub in Monster Hunter World? What does that entail? Like, what are the features?
Right now, from what I see, because I don't have a PlayStation or an Xbox, so I didn't get a chance to play it.
I haven't played it either.
From what I saw, it's basically a giant ship. It's an airship that you are on with a bunch of NPCs. You get quests and updates, some crafting stations, places to hang out, a bar, that kind of stuff, and that's the kind of social hub experience. So you go on there, and then you head out on a mission either with your friends or solo, but it gives you a place that you can meet, communicate. It's kind of like the bars in Division, except done a lot better because there's a lot more to do in them. It's you're not by yourself. It's there's other people there. You can interact. You can do some dance moves, that kind of stuff, and people genuinely like that experience. So I think we're going to see it in more and more games coming out into the future. You don't have to have an MMO to have that social aspect put in, and I've been saying this for years. I mean, even leaderboards are a form of being in an MMO. When the fact that there's competition and interaction between a community, that's technically a massive multiplayer game. It doesn't always play out like WoW or the Division or something like that. It's always a little bit different.
Yeah. But you're not directly interacting with other players, but yeah, I agree that would be a good addition to a game like Cyberpunk, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of a form that takes. Could it be the virtual online world? Could it be some sort of actual bar or something? There's a variety of forms it could take. We know that they have 2 sandbox environments. We know that from our tour of the CD Projekt Red Studios that we did, and there was a sign that talks about the main central focuses of the game, and 2 sandbox environments was one of their primary points of focus. So that's going to be interesting to see, and it's been speculated that maybe one is the single player and one is the multiplayer. Maybe one is the real world, one is virtual. Could be, I'm very excited to see what they do with that.
On the just to go a little bit more into the Cyberpunk thing, there was a Darth Raver put out a little note in here in the chat. So there was a Christmas party and the rumors again going around that it will launch in 2018. So they had a new job post go up. It was they're calling for an animator, do some more animator related work. So they have motion capture, and that covers a lot of the animations, but it does not cover all of the animation. There's a lot of slight improving that you have to do, and a lot of tweaking that you have to do. And I'm fairly well. I know the field a fair bit. There's a lot of animation work that goes into that the community creates in Skyrim, for example, that takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of effort and a lot of time and intensive work goes into making that kind of stuff. The fact that they're hiring for it now really, I mean, you're talking like 6-7 months until a fall release. Um, well, not 6-7 months, 8, 9, maybe 10. That's so little of a time. That's not even a year's contract for the bulk of that work to be done. I think a year's time is what we're looking at the bare minimum. So that really does emphasize to me that this is a 2019 either spring or fall release. So I'm really leaning towards that.
Yeah, and Darth Raver, I saw when you posted earlier the article about their Christmas party, and I've got it here. I'll just read the last couple of sentences. So they have this whole article with a bunch of pictures of their Christmas party, and it looks like it was an awesome time. The holiday party gave us a kick in the arse to move forward with rejuvenated momentum and to embrace new challenges. It was a good year, but we're sure the next will be even better. You can see for yourself. And then they have a emoji. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about when you say the last sentence of the story is somewhat telling. You can maybe tell us what your insight into that is. It's I don't know. Do you think that means anything? Do you think they're hinting at anything there, Cyb?
I think what Mad Queen had stated a couple of weeks back, and what we had been looking at, she made a kind of a theory video and saying that she thinks that they're going to have a little game come out before this. And I had been saying this for quite a while too. I think what we will see is Cyberpunk 2077, the pen and paper game, release in 2018. I really think that that's coming out this fall. I think that that's what they've been hinting at. I think that's why they're booking themselves at E3. They're going to push Cyberpunk 2077, the game, but they're also going to push the pen and paper version, because that pen and paper version is going to bring people up to date on a lot of the lore, on a lot of the mechanics. It's going to get them playing it in groups, which means that if they're playing it and they're enjoying it in a group, then that means that they're going to enjoy it and play it as a as a group, especially if it's multiplayer. So you get a group of 5 people or whatever playing the pen and paper game, and they say, hey, the digital game's coming out soon. It's going to play a lot like this. It's really an RPG focused game. You're going to have a ton of people that are going to stand up and that are going to go out and get that as a team so that they can play on both. So they can sit down and play the paper, and they can also play the digital. So I think that's what we're going to see. I think that if we don't see that, we will see another possibly a little mobile game that is based in the Cyberpunk universe. I think that is where they're leaning to, and I think that's a brilliant move. It fits what they need to have happen, which is they need to engross as many people with the hype and the lore and the experience and the story components of the world, of the universe, and then they need to pop that game out and have it be the game of the year. And so I think that that's a strong possibility. We're looking at that, we're reading that, we're getting that from the crowd. So I think this is what we're looking at to see. So
I'm leaning more toward them doing a mobile game of some sort. Maybe in conjunction with also doing a pen and paper game. Like you made the case for them doing a pen and paper game, like the fact that you can print out your character sheet from the game.
Yeah, we know that's been a long running goal, was that your character sheet could be printed out straight from the game, sent to either your mobile device or printed out on a printer so that you could take it to your friend's house and play the pen and paper version of it. And we know that Mike Pondsmith and his son and his wife are working on that, and they've been working on that since 2013. So we know that they're getting really close to releasing it, and I think that's what we're going to see this year.
So that probably will come out then. So that there will most likely be a pen and paper version, but I imagine there's going to be some kind of a mobile game or something, and I base that partly on their desire to, they really wanted to emulate the way Bethesda did things with Fallout 4. And I think releasing just a pen and paper game would it would only appeal to a portion of your audience, whereas if they released a mobile game, that appeals to a lot more of your audience. But then there's also going to be, people who want the pen and paper game as well. So wouldn't surprise me if they did both of those.
There's a thought out there that says that the next pen and paper game they're working on is going to be a mobile based game. So you don't need to bring a box with you and a bunch of papers. You can just bring your smartphone with you. You key in to do a local group, and the phones just communicate to each other on the app. And I mean that is highly possible as well.
That could very well be. Yeah. So maybe it's one and the same, and that would be a lot of fun, actually.
There's a good chance that we will see Cyberpunk 2077 launch with the PS5. I think it'll be on PS4. I think it'll be on both of the latest consoles, but I think it will also be upgraded visually on the next consoles as well. We don't suspect that they will scale back the game's graphics on the PC because CDPR has always been against that. They've always disliked that. If the consoles can't keep up, then the consoles get a slightly weaker version. And if people don't like that and want to play the PC version, then they play the PC version. And CDPR says we don't care either way.
David says, could Cyberpunk maybe generate short novels about the characters, kind of like Warhammer has, to enrich the lore, etc.? Absolutely, they could do that.
Yeah, we are expecting to see. I think Mike Pondsmith has mentioned that there will be new books coming out in the universe, quite possibly after the game comes out. I would bet serious money on that happening, especially if the game does really well. Like, I mean, they're looking at doing The Witcher as a next Netflix series. So, I mean, come on, like there's definite draw to have people come in and do more writing for a universe that's well fleshed together. The reason why we don't see any new books for the Witcher series is because the books are already out there. They're already very well done, very well written, and I think the author has pretty much concluded that universe. I don't think the author has an interest in writing more in that, but I could be wrong on that. That's just I don't have any insight on that. That's just a guess. Mm-hmm. So, no.
I would love to see that as a TV series as well. Yeah.
Both that and Cyberpunk 2077. If they could do TV versions of this, I would love it. And I think if this Witcher thing does go through, then I think there's a real strong possibility that they could follow up with a Cyberpunk 2077 game Netflix series or some kind of series. It could be on Amazon, on Hulu, whatever. I think that's a very strong possibility. But I think that's going to be probably 5-6 years away at the very least. They want to see how the game sells first and how the storyline works first before they line themselves up to do a big show on it. They want to make sure that there's going to be the attention and the desire to see that. Right. Altered Carbon looks really, really good. I want to. That comes out in a couple of days, right? That's out in February
2nd. Yes, I hadn't heard about this.
It's coming out right away. I'm really excited for that. We should have a watch party. Actually, are you guys interested in doing a watch party? That's where everybody queues it up and sits in together in a Discord and talks about it while watching. The problem is that it's a mystery. So the problem with that is that somebody can ruin the show by yelling out the ending in it. So none of that. But if you guys are interested, we might pick a few of you and get you on our Discord, and then we can sit down and watch that, because that is a very cyberpunk show. It's a great. It's getting good reviews from what I heard, so I expect that it'll be really, really awesome. So, yeah,
that's fantastic. I hadn't actually heard about this until just now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised I haven't seen previews for it, because I've been watching a lot of Netflix stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, it's. I've seen quite a few trailers on it, so
I wonder why I don't see these. You always see these trailers and things, I don't. I don't know. Do you go looking for them, or do they just pop into your feed?
No, I mean I'm always looking for everything. I probably watch about 12, 13 hours of YouTube a day when I'm at home, That's not straight hours. I compress every video that I watch, so it's all playing at 2x speed. So I'm watching. I take 8 hours, but I get through that in like 4 hours. So it doesn't really 4 to 6 hours is not too bad. I gotta stay on top of this stuff, man.
A Netflix movie called Mute is also out in February. Cool. I have not heard. It's also a cyberpunk type deal, huh?
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a lot of cyberpunk type stuff. Well,
I called this. I called this over a year ago. I said that cyberpunk is going to be the new fad. It's not straight sci-fi. It's like sci-fi light, and I think that we're definitely going to see Ready Player One. You've got all these other games where it's very much kind of fits into that kind of genre. The Ghost in the Shell was a horrible adaptation of it, but that had other issues, not necessarily the cyberpunk stuff. But it's very interesting. And there's a new game today. Oh, we were going to talk about this game. What's this? What's the game that I linked you?
You're asking me? Let's see here.
Oh dear.
I'll have to look back in our.
It's
Deceiver.
So the Deceiver, right? That's the title of it. So Deceiver is this first-person cyberpunkish game where you're stuck in the net, and you're trying to get out of the net by controlling points and building up enough energy to escape from this like digital prison, basically. It's really cool. It uses some very interesting graphical choices, and it's looking really cool. David's asking us.
Is this an MMO?
No. It's a single, like it's a narrative based single player game. From what I gathered.
I just see you see the names floating above the characters. Actually, here I'll link the trailer to you guys in the chat. Yeah, this does look interesting. I kind of want to play this. So here's a link to the trailer on YouTube. Will we make it to E3?
Well, right now we're pretty. We are trying to get that set up. Honestly, a little bit more support on Patreon would really help with that. Probably. I don't like to e-bag. I don't like to e-bag, but it is a very expensive trip to take. So if that's
a big maybe. We're saying is what we're saying. So we're looking at options to maybe have somebody there for us to get video and stuff. So we'll see what we can do about that, but that's a big maybe.
I keep trying to I'm trying to get this here we go. So this is the Steam link to the game if you're interested in getting the Steam link to Deceiver. So it looks pretty, honestly, it looks pretty cool. Check it out. And then as far as E3, we definitely want to be there. We have a few channels that are interested in pooling some skills for it. So that's a possibility. That's something that can definitely help us. So it is a very expensive flight and room and board. So we're close to having enough for it, but we're still short a fair bit. So we'll have to.
Could you imagine if we could go with the Mad Queen and Jamie and Legacy Killer?
Oh yeah, that would be so much money.
Amazing.
It would be so much
someday.
Someday soon. So one of the things that we will do absolutely is we will definitely live stream pretty much everything. We're gonna co-stream pretty much all of E3 this year. We did a fair bit of it earlier last year, so we're gonna try and do as much as we can this year again. At the very least, we are, like I said, we are hoping to be able to get there. Sometimes if you're big enough, you can get an invite that comes with a free ticket. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe we'll see. So
yeah. All right.
So to help us with that, if you like and share this video, if you leave comments, and if you come back and check out our other stuff, and that helps the algorithm, that helps us get more growth. So yeah, definitely, if you do that, We love it, and we're so thankful for the growth that you guys have given us. It's really heartwarming, and also really encouraging to see that kind of stuff from you guys. So
2017 was a pretty good year for us, and 2018 is starting off strong. I'm loving doing the podcasts live. There's a lot of interesting games that we're getting into. It's great looking at the chat and recognizing a lot of the names. It's been fantastic, and lots of exciting stuff coming in 2018. We have some really neat things in the works, so we definitely if you haven't subbed, or if you are listening on one of the audio channels, iTunes or SoundCloud, definitely check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Triple S League. We have game guides, reviews, we've got comedy stuff, we've got some music videos, we've got all kinds of fun things, and anything and everything to help enrich your gaming experience is what we are about. So definitely check us out. We'd appreciate if you like and sub, and also in the description you'll find a Gawkbox link that you can use if you're watching on your mobile device. You can download an app and support us at absolutely no cost to yourself. Anyway, that's enough talking about us. We have been the Triple S League. Thank you so much to everybody in chat, everybody watching, and everybody listening after the fact. We appreciate you all. On behalf of Obsidian, my name is Asheninity, and we will talk to you later.
Love you, everybody.